This is Texans TV. Texans Extra Points, presented by Community Coffee, official coffee of the Houston Texans. Also sponsored by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans. And by your Houston area Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. And by Amegy, the official business bank of the Houston Texans.
Let's go, bro. What we got, man? Hey, 1, 2, 3.
And here's a pick. The Texans have the rock.
Here comes pressure. He's going to go down.
Touchdown, Houston. Rock and roll.
Let's begin, shall we? This is Texans Extra Points. My name is Drew Dougherty, and we've got some heavy hitters, not like literally, but figuratively, in Jonathan Alexander of the Houston Chronicle. Good to see you, Jonathan.
Good to see you, too.
Glad you're back, and we're glad that Wade Smith is back. Of course, he's got over a decade in the NFL. He was a Pro Bowler here with the Houston Texans. He held down that left guard position. We've got a lot to discuss, but we got to make sure you know what we're talking about, because do two QBs really work? And we've got some pounding with Petrie, because he is wrecking guys, and I think he set up a tattoo parlor in between the lines at AT&T Stadium last Sunday. We've got to discuss what he's got going on. We also have to get you some Texans to watch against the Chiefs, and then we'll wrap things up with keys to a victory. But let's start about the two-quarterback system. We've heard the old saying, if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. But that wasn't truly the case last Sunday against the Cowboys, was it? And are you buying this two QB system, Wade?
Listen, I like what I saw. I saw Davis Mills playing with confidence. I saw, Jeff Driscoll coming in there and bringing something different to the table that I'm sure that the Cowboys weren't prepared for. Driscoll was accurate with throwing the rock. He was running the rock. He was running the RPOs. I liked what I saw with those guys going back and forth. It worked really well against the Cowboys.
Now, I'm certain this has happened before. I can't remember. Are you buying or selling the two QB?
I mean, for now, like Wade said, they caught him off guard. And the Cowboys, you can tell they weren't expecting it at all. This doesn't happen very often. It's very rare in the NFL. So I could only see it happening for a limited time before teams catch up and start watching film on them.
Yeah, let's stick with you. Now, it doesn't look like Damian Pierce is going to go because of the ankle injury he had at the end of the Cowboys. Let's talk about his season before we get into who's going to take over for him. Damian Pierce this season, finish the sentence for me. It was?
I would say unexpected. Probably from when they drafted him, being that he was a fourth-round draft pick, you didn't really know what to expect. He kind of came into training camp, and he wasn't exactly the number one, but eventually he earned that role, and he started showing that he was a problem. He was running over people. He could make people miss. So I would say unexpected from the very beginning, from the draft. But he's been impressive. He was nothing short of impressive. He's been their best player. He makes the engine go, and that's what would give me worry about this week's game in particular.
Yeah. How about you?
I would just say that he overachieved. He exceeded everyone's expectations as far as us, outside looking in. I'm sure he exceeded expectations of guys in that locker room. But I tell you what, he put himself into a position to where going into future seasons that Damian Pierce is going to be a huge part of what the Houston Texans are going to do. Very impressive running back. Love everything about the way he runs the ball, how physical he plays the game, how he loves up his offensive linemen. He's one of those type of guys that you want to go block for as a former offensive lineman. You love guys like that. And Damian Pierce, man, I just really like what I saw at him, and I'm looking forward to see what he's going to be able to produce for the Texans in years to come.
Yeah, now I'm a third-party observer. I've never been a player or coach, but he looks like somebody that would have fit in perfectly on some of those great teams you were on a decade ago here with the Texans.
No question about it. We had a bunch of really good running backs: Arian Foster, Ben Tate, Derek Ward, Justin Forsett. Damian Pierce would have been right there with those guys.
Big character, too. Okay, so Pierce aside, what young offensive players have got you really excited about the future of this team? Put 2022 aside, the future of this team, who's got you excited offensively?
I would say Nico Collins. I think he's a very tall receiver who's shown this year. I thought he improved quite a bit from last year to this year. Health, he has to stay healthy. I think that's going to be the biggest thing with him. but he's shown that he has that ability. It's tough to cover a 6'5" guy. I mean, most corners don't have that type of height. So he's shown he has the hands, and I think he could potentially, if they find the right quarterback mix this offseason, I think he could be a guy who can step into that number one receiver role eventually in due time.
Collins is a good choice. Are you going with the guy who plays your position?
Well, Kenyon Green is somebody that definitely have high expectations for, but the guy that I actually was going to mention was Chris Moore. Chris Moore, even though he's not super young, he's not super old either, and he's a face that not a lot of people expected much out of him this year. He's come up and produced when he's had his opportunities. That's all he does is make plays, and you want players on your team that are going to take advantage of the opportunities. Guys are getting hurt, he's getting more reps, and he's doing a great job. So I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Chris Moore as well. Yeah,
we were in the press conference earlier this week. He had 10 catches last Sunday against the Cowboys. His previous career high was 5 in the NFL, and he said even in college he didn't get that many catches a game. He was kind of a burner. He was
even high school.
Yeah, even high school, which is amazing to me. I would have fed that guy 12, 13 times a game, but what do I know? Anyways, we got a guy who does know quite a bit. His name is John Harris, and every week on this show he breaks down the X's and O's with the telestrator, and he did so again this week.
You had Jeff Driscoll throwing a touchdown to Amari Rodgers in Week 14. Cash that ticket, baby. I don't think anybody saw that coming, but it turned out to be a great play by Driscoll and a great play by Amari. Let's take a look how it happened here against the Cowboys. You're going to see, obviously, Driscoll here. Now, you're going to get motion. Amari's right here. He's going to come in motion here and get to almost a stack alignment with Jalen. Jalen camps down here. So Jalen's going to just take off out of there and get out. And Amari's just going to run the wheel up here. Now, this play is designed for Teagan to come back across and leak out to the flat. They call it a leak route. So he's going to leak out to the flat, and the hope is with all this run action this way, you get all the Cowboys going that way, Jeff boots out, throw it to Teagan, and he turns up the field. It doesn't work out that way because the Cowboys actually play it very well on this side. You see Barr here is actually ready for Driscoll. So they play it perfectly right there from linebacker position. So now Jeff has got no direct line here, and he's got just these two routes because Teagan's back in here. He can't get out there because the pressure got there so fast. And then Williams grabs him. So now all he's got is this here, which he's not going to throw that. And he's got Amari working one-on-one against Donovan Wilson. Now, what he's not going to see is Chris is breaking into the middle here, but his eyes aren't there because he can't see that right now. So Driscoll just keeps floating to the sideline, and he's going to give his guy a shot. And that's what he does. Right when he gets to the sideline, he's going to throw it up. Now, Amari right here, the fans in the building thought he might have gone out of bounds, but he didn't. He stayed in bounds, and then he adjusts to the ball. The one thing DBs have a hard time doing, especially when they're man coverage, when they get turned around back to the ball, sometimes they lose where the ball is. That's what happens to Wilson. He loses the ball, and he pauses for the split second. Amari goes up, makes the touchdown, and then celebrates. Man, what a great play, an athletic play by Jeff Driscoll, and a great adjustment and catch, an athletic play by Amari Rodgers for the touchdown for the Texans.
Driscoll stays in the gun. Pierce to his right. Here's motion by Amari Rodgers to the right side. Driscoll fakes the give. Now running to his right. He's going to throw downfield, and it's caught by Amari Rodgers. Touchdown! Oh my goodness! What a throw by Driscoll. And welcome to the Texans, Amari Rodgers.
Damian Pierce angry run version 15 this year. I don't know how many he's had, but he's had a lot of them. Let's take a look at this one. After the goal line stand, the Texans come out here, and you see they got a tight end. They're in 11 personnel here. So they got one running back, Damian, one tight end, and they're just going to run what looks like to be a little zone play over here. Now, the two guys to watch are A.J. Cann and Scott Quisenberry. For now, we'll get to Damian in a second. But linebacker starts in here. This linebacker pops here. And because of that, they're essentially trading gaps. So they're gap exchanging here. But A.J. picks that up perfectly, and that puts Scott on the track to get Van Der Esch. And as he does, that's where the cut's going to be made, right in between. You can see how that develops right here. As Barr goes inside, he goes here. They pin him, kick him out, and then that's the seam that Damian hits, right there, right there. All right, so now he's through. Where's Malik Hooker? Oh, yeah, he's right here. Those are his feet. Okay, 28. Come get some! Oh, man. And now he's going to carry Cowboys a few more yards. I'm telling you, I could watch this all day. When it happened live, I jumped out of my shoes, right? Oh! Angry run. I fumbled and now I'm making you pay for it, Malik Hooker.
Driscoll sends Moore in motion to the right. Jeff takes the snap. Handoff Pierce, running right through a hole, 20, 25, breaks a tackle, 30, 35, hangs onto the ball, 40-yard line, angry run, Damian Pierce. Second down and 8 at the 11-yard line of Kansas City. Schaub under center, back to pass. Matt looking, Matt scrambling to the left. Matt throws to the end zone. Caught! Andre Johnson! The Texans! They do it! They take the lead over the Chiefs. An 11-yard touchdown pass. Matt Schaub to Andre Johnson. They produced a go-ahead score with 28 seconds left.
Yes, Andre Johnson, 2010. Oh, the guy to my left knew a little bit about that. He was on the field for that game, and you had just come from that team. You were a Chief for a bit there at the end of the last decade, or 2 decades ago. I'm sorry. I still am stuck in 2004 in my brain sometimes. You know, it's weird.
Yeah, I was over there for a couple of years, but that was a really big game for me personally.
Sure.
Just left the Chiefs the year before, and we came out there and got that W, and I think we were 4-2 after that ball game. It was a really good start to the 22-10 season.
It sure was. Wade Smith, Jonathan Alexander. Let's talk about this defense because, like I mentioned at the start of the show, Jalen Petrie was hitting dudes on Sunday in Arlington. He's playing free safety now. It's a bit of a position switch from where he was earlier in the season, but he's another guy. We talked about offensive cornerstones for the future. I think it's safe to say he's one on the defensive side of the ball, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think early on you saw that ability. I mean, he won the starting job early in training camp. You saw him have a couple of interceptions against, Chicago Bears, and you said, oh, wow, this guy has some ability, maybe Tyrann Mathieu type player. And he had his struggles in the middle of the season. But I think what we learned from him was he could overcome those struggles. He didn't let that get him down because he could have easily spiraled. And he's been playing some lights-out football since he's made that switch.
It's a great point he brings up. How valuable is that, seeing a guy correct some mistakes that a lot of guys sometimes don't?
Resiliency is absolutely key if you want to have any sustained success in the NFL. You have to be able to deal with adversity, come back from adversity, go out there and make plays. And he makes a great point. Early on in the year, Jalen Petrie was making it seem like every play. And then towards the middle of the season, he was missing tackles, he was having struggles. But then he's come back from that, and he's playing at a very, very high level. He's had to switch roles on the defensive side as far as earlier in the year he was more in the box and trying to make plays at the line of scrimmage, and now they've moved him back to free safety, and he's making more plays in the defensive backfield. It just shows his versatility, and it shows that he's the type of guy that is not going to let any type of adversity hold him down. He's going to come out and make plays, and so that's the type of players that you want to build around.
Safe to say Christian Harris at linebacker, another one of those guys. I mean, you made your bones on the middle of the offensive line,
right,
and you had to deal with guys like that every so often. What do you see from Christian Harris?
I'm loving what I'm seeing out of him just in pass defense, getting back in passing lanes and deflecting passes. He's the type of guy that's really rangy, really long. That's what you want in a guy that's going to be playing in a cover 2 defense, which you're seeing out of Lovie Smith's defense. And then you know that he's the type of guy that can get downhill and make tackles. And so you're just looking forward to seeing him continue to get better, staying healthy. You know, he was banged up early on in the year. Now he's to the point now that he's out there, he's playing consistent football, and so you're looking forward to him continuing to grow in the future.
All right, stick with us. We've got more Texans extra points. Before we do, we've got a Texans trivia because the last home win against the Chiefs was actually in the 2016 regular season. DeAndre Hopkins caught a touchdown, but who did the rest of the scoring? It was a 19-12 victory for Houston. We'll have that answer later on in Texans extra points.
Third down and 8 at the Texans 32. Here's the snap to Smith. 3-man rush Texans. Smith with Watt on the way. JJ has him down for his first sack of the year. Welcome back, Watt.
We're back. That was a J.J. Watt sack from the 2016 win here, 19-12 over the Kansas City Chiefs. We got Jonathan, we got Wade. Guys, let's talk about these Chiefs. We know all about Patrick Mahomes and his greatness. Is he the best quarterback that's been on the schedule, will be on the schedule for Houston this year?
Oh, absolutely. I think he's an MVP. I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. I think him and Josh Allen fairly close, but I think Patrick Mahomes is the best thing. He's showing that. He lost Tyreek Hill, and he's still playing that type of levels.
And Tyreek Hill is kind of elevated to a Tagovailoa, close to that conversation. What about you?
You know what? I'm going to give it up to the guy that's a little bit closer to home. I'm going to give it to Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
I thought Jalen Hurts, he's having an MVP-like season as well. Pat Mahomes, if you're talking about strictly just throwing the ball, he's to me, he has the best arm in the NFL. But just overall total package, I say Jalen Hurts might be having just a little bit more of a better year than Pat Mahomes, and I think it's going to show when the MVP votes come in.
All right, let's stick with you. You played offensive line, but once upon a time you were a tight end. Travis Kelce as a tight end is what?
A problem. I mean, he's 10,000 yards receiving at the tight end position faster than anybody else in NFL history. He's a matchup problem. I don't know. You can try to double him. You can try to put a DB on him to try to cover him and beat him up. You can try to get a big guy on. There's a lot of different things that you can try to do to Travis Kelce. He still makes plays. They do a lot of things creatively to get him the ball, whether it's running little, two-point plays, whether he's doing little flip plays underneath. He's just always, you look up and it's like, how is Travis Kelce wide open? They just do a good job of scheming him open. He's also extremely fast, extremely big. Great hands. He's just a matchup problem, and he's somebody that the Texans definitely going to have their eyes on.
10K yards, still doesn't look like he's anywhere near finished. I mean, he just keeps going and going. I mean, how much of a problem is he? He's detailed a lot of them, but how much is a problem he going to be for this Texans defense, you think?
Yeah, it's a nightmare. Texans like to run a lot of cover too, of course. But these linebackers and maybe even the safeties might find themselves on him and trying to bring him down, and it's not too many people that have his size. So. He can catch the ball, he can run with it, and he's hard to bring down. So he's going to be somebody who the Texans are going to have an eye on at all times.
He's a hold your breath talent. When the ball's going his way, you hold your breath because something bad could be happening. All right, Texan to watch against the Chiefs. Who's yours?
Got to be Malik Collins, man.
Okay.
I haven't heard many people talk about Malik Collins just this entire season. To me, if you watch the Cowboys game last week, he was living in the backfield, whether it was tackles for loss, whether it was pressures on the quarterback, and I've seen him do that throughout this season. I think there's a lot of things going on with the team, but that to me, especially on the defensive side of the ball, he's a huge bright spot. He's a guy that I enjoy watching, and I think more people need to keep their eyes on him and see how dominating of a season he's having for the Texans.
Guy, you're not sad you didn't have to block too, right?
I mean, I don't mind any kind of competition, but I tell you what, he's somebody that does give interior offensive linemen trouble week in and week out, and so that's always fun to see.
Okay, who's yours?
I'm going to say Jalen Petrie. 2 straight games with 12-plus tackles. I think the Chiefs are going to pass it a lot. They're not a heavy running team. They might run a little bit more, but that's going to put Jalen Petrie in a lot of situations. And even when they do run, he's going to have to make those tackles. It's going to be important for him to do that and to possibly create some turnovers, because I think that's the only way that the Texans have a chance is if they create more turnovers than what the Chiefs are able to do. Excellent
choices for both of you. I'll go with Jerry Hughes. Let's get some pass rush going. Jerry has not had a sack in a few games. He's got 8. Let's get double digits. We could take 2. That's cool with me. And it's cool with me if you stick with us here on Texans Extra Points, because when we come back, we got keys to a victory and a trivia answer.
Texans Extra Points, presented by Community Coffee, official coffee of the Houston Texans. Also sponsored by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans. And by Mattress Firm, the official sleep partner of the Houston Texans.
Hey, we'd love to see you out here at the Texas Bowl, the Tax Act Texas Bowl. It's Texas Tech and Ole Miss. So ask Santa to put some tickets in your stocking, or just go to HoustonTexans.com/tickets and we can hook you up. We got the guys here. And earlier I asked in the Texans trivia, and the guys, I mean Wade Smith and Jonathan Alexander, we asked, hey, who scored other than DeAndre Hopkins in the 1912 victory over the Chiefs here at NRG Stadium? It was the last time the Texans beat Kansas City here. And the answer, of course, is no idea. It's Nick Novak. He's a kicker. He had a bunch of field goals, an extra point. So, yeah, it was Nick Novak.
Yeah, I wasn't going to embarrass myself and just throw a random name
I get
out there.
random out there.
Yeah,
you know me. I'm random from time to time. All right, Wade Smith, we got to get 2 keys to a victory. What must the Texans do for a win?
I think first and foremost, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the show, but I want to see what this two-quarterback system looks like and how the Kansas City Chiefs handle it. I think Jeff Driscoll, what he showed that he could bring to the table last week, and the way that Davis Mills kind of responded to being in a role where he wasn't necessarily just the guy. I thought both of them played well, and they played off each other. I think them continuing that and building off of some of the little nuances and the little shenanigans that Pep Hamilton came up with, I think that's going to be important. And then I think secondly, they're going to have to take advantage of how aggressive a team the Kansas City Chiefs are. Whether it's the Kansas City Chiefs love to go for it on fourth down, whether it's their type of team that they don't care, down a distance, they're going to throw it up, they're going to throw it deep, they're going to be aggressive, and Pat Mahomes is going to try to fit balls into small windows. I think the Texans are going to have to stop them on fourth down. I think they're going to have to make that play to make that interception when it's a deep ball. Those are the type of things that are going to happen for the Texans to come out with a W.
All right. What about your two?
I think, one, they're going to have to score a defensive touchdown. I think they're going to have to win this turnover battle for sure and score defensively, because they're not a team that can go toe-to-toe with Kansas City Chiefs all game. They can't go touchdown for touchdown, so they got to do that. And then I also think they got to take care of the football. They can't have any turnovers. Right. I think that's going to be super critical. This offense just isn't built to come back from deficits. So they're going to have to take care. They're going to take care of the football, and they're going to have to score defensively.
On the whole, it was kind of a herky-jerky game offensively, and I think that played in the Texans' favor against the Cowboys. Do that again. I mean, you got to keep these guys off guard, off balance. I would have gone with turnovers like you guys. Defensive score, I think, is brilliant. Give me a splash play on special teams. You got one last week. You recovered a fumble. How about a score? How about you block a punt for a score, or you take one to the house? Desmond King is going to do it. Desmond King is getting close, I think, to doing that. But, guys, this was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you coming on, as always. Wade Smith, Jonathan Alexander. They're regulars, and they're regulars for a reason, because we love talking with them. And we love having you on this show as a viewer. So hope you have a fun weekend, and we can't wait to talk to you again here on Texans Extra Points. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.